Hello everyone, I'm Ravishankar Panikar, Assistant Professor, BIT Raipur. This particular video is created for Hemchand Yadav University, Durg, second semester students, poetry. Today, I'm going to discuss William Wordsworth's wonderful nature poetry, Tintern Abbey. Before I proceed with how does Tintern Abbey establish William Wordsworth as as a famous nature poet, I would like to ask few questions from you. How do you feel when you go out to some beautiful place that has got wonderful natural beauty? Let's say, for example, you go to Kashmir, or you go to some some snow, places where there is a snowfall, or when you stand beside an ocean when there is sun is setting, or you go for a quiet morning walk. How do you feel? Yes, I'm sure there are some very common feelings. You feel that you have suddenly discovered yourself. Suddenly, all that has gone by in the past times uh, revisiting those moments, those emotions. You suddenly start uh, having wonderful imaginations. Everybody turns into a poet. It's this good feeling that is the ability of nature that it transforms a common man into a poet. And imagine somebody like Wordsworth revisiting a place after 5 years. So the poem begins wonderfully. The poem begins this way: 5 years have passed, 5 summers, and 5 long winters. Suddenly, how come these 5 summers and 5 long winters? Just think about it. Yes, you see, in Western countries, there is a lot of snowfall. Most of the time, practically all the beauty of nature is submerged beneath is almost covered by snow. So, somebody who is as ardent follower of nature is not able to see the beauty of nature for almost 5 months. Can you imagine? This 5 long winters. This is how it begins. So, understand before we begin this poem is all about revisiting a place. Wordsworth has also mentioned about Wordsworth's sister Dorothy here. Now, nature comes up into so many forms to William Wordsworth. Something about the author. William Wordsworth was born in 7th April 1770 and he passed away on 23rd April 1850. Everybody knows Wordsworth was famous for his natural poetry. He was a nature poet and he was a famous romantic poet. Now, I would like to ask you a question. What do you understand by the meaning of the word romance? What do you understand by the meaning of the word romantic? It's not about love only. It's all about feeling positive. It's all about feeling happy. It's all about feeling positive and full of energy. That's what romantic is all about. And these are the feelings that nature provided him. So, along with Coleridge, he has written lyrical ballads in 1798 and announced the beginning of the Romantic period. And who called William Wordsworth the highest priest of nature? It was Matthew Arnold. So, in your exam, do not forget that Wordsworth, when you mention Wordsworth as a nature poet and Wordsworth as the highest priest of nature, do not forget to mention that it was Matthew Arnold who called him the highest priest of nature. Now, what is nature poetry? You have to understand that what are the traits of nature poetry. So, according to Wendell Berry, you can mention this in your answer. According to Wendell Berry, a poetry that considers nature as a subject matter and inspiration is nature poetry. So subject matter and inspiration. So nature not only becomes a main theme, but also when it starts providing inspiration, becomes a nature poetry. The anchor, start your answer with this particular line: the anchor of my purest thoughts, the nurse, the guide, the guardian of my heart and soul, of all my moral being. See how surrendered the poet is in front of nature. I'm talking about this particular poem, line composed a few miles above Tintern Abbey. This is the entire name, the complete name of the poem. Now, this poem is all about revisiting the site, near the river Wye. Now, understand the meaning of the word. Tintern is the name of a place, and Abbey is a place where monks live. All the priests live. जैसा हमारे यहाँ मठ होता है, वैसे ही Abbey होता है. Wordsworth's sister Dorothy is also mentioned in this poem. It's a kind of a prayer. The entire poem is written as a kind of a prayer. Philosophy has passed through the four stages of human life. When you read the entire poem has got the philosophy of passing through the four stages of human life, and it mentions the spiritual joy the nature provides. Nature and Wordsworth. What kind of relationship nature had with Wordsworth, or Wordsworth had with nature? Wordsworth sees nature as a living personality. He doesn't see something as inanimate. So he finds it as a living personality. Have you seen people engrossed in gardening? When they water the plant, when they dig something, or when they put up a plant, they keep on talking, and you feel that yes, even the flowers also respond to them, because they suddenly feel that this particular nature is their friend. Nature acts like a guide. You stand, you move into the mountains, you see the mountains, you see their might, and you see the sky, you see the earth, you see the sun, you moon, stars. They are the ones who can guide you. Then suddenly, when people say you leave it, you don't take any medicine, it automatically passes away, because nature is the biggest nurse. See, during this particular time, the very tough corona time, when everybody is inside home, no human being activities are there, nature itself is curing. You see, in Haridwar, you can see crystal clear Ganga water. The ozone layer is getting cleared. Then you can see animals and birds from even places like Jalandhar and all. You can see Himalayan mountains. So this is something beyond human imagination. So who has healed it? The nature itself has healed the entire environment. That is why nature is the biggest nurse. Nature is a philosopher. When you move around alone in a place, in a beautiful place, you start suddenly have so many thoughts within you. You suddenly think of humanity. You suddenly think of human beings. Suddenly you think of the environment around. You question, what am I? Why I am living? What is the purpose of my living? Then you suddenly transform yourself from a common man into an extraordinary person. And it's a divine being. Nature is ultimately considered as a divine being. See, even in our Rig Veda, the entire Rig Veda is dedicated to nature. There is no god. There is no particular like Trimurti we had, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. There's nobody like that. But entire Rig Veda is dedicated to the ultimate force, which they pray and they surrender, and that is nature. Now, the two main aspects of this poem is, the first aspect is, you read this line: nature never did betray the heart that loved her. So this is how nature is so faithful. It is This particular poem is an autobiographical poem. The poet believes in the restorative power of nature. The poet believes that once you are in company of nature, once you surrender to nature, nature has got immense ability to restore the power within you. The restorative power of nature. The second aspect that you see is the growth and development along with the forces of nature. How does